I am anorexic. That's who I am.
Oh my gosh, she is so selfish.
You are the only person that gets to see all of that.
All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the car. We want to talk about something really important, really personal, really pervasive, really permanent today.
Talk about your words.
We want to talk about
Do
your
you
words.
use words? Are you a word user?
So me think, why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
I hope so. We want to get specific about words, specifically labels. You know, we're meaning makers. That was one of the first mandates given in the Bible, is to go and name things.
Yeah.
And we love to name things. We've invented so many languages so that we can name things not only in one language, but also in another language.
Yeah.
And
it makes sense why our brains do this, right? Because it takes something that's unknown and unpredictable. We slap a label on it, and now it makes it known and predictable. And so it makes us feel more secure in a life. Like, there's so much that is actually unpredictable about life. Like, we've seen that through history, right? Like, think of Pompeii. Life was beautiful, predictable, and suddenly one day it's all gone. Like, we don't like to think about that, how life can change in an instant. So we like to make structure. We like routine. We like labels because it makes meaning of the world around us. It makes sense. It makes life predictable. It helps us feel safe.
now the problem, and also the solution with labels, it's like a good thing and it's a bad thing. There's a flip side to this coin. Is one, it creates that security. So it's really good to have like really intention for yourself.
As long as you know. I've got one. I'm good.
Oh.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, your labels. They're very permanent. They create that feeling of security. And so if you're really intentional about labels, Russell M. Nelson said the only label that you really want to assign to yourself is child of God.
Guys, it's probably like the only eternal label too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the only one that really matters when you take a step back. So you want to be really careful though, because if you start assigning other types of labels, right? Like we often like to do in a day and age where so many of our needs are taken care of, so much so that all we have to do with our spare time is analyze each other's psychological problems.
Criticize and judge. We're not saying that labels are bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, we need some predictability. We need some structure. Like, that's a great thing to have some structure. But make sure that you're using empowering labels. Because again, the way you see yourself, the story you tell about yourself and your identity, dictates how you show up in life.
Exactly.
So are you telling yourself a story? Are you giving yourself labels? Or are you giving your partner labels that are empowering, that are driving connection, driving that divinity inside of you, allowing it space to grow and breathe? Or are you snuffing it out? So that's where you want to look at, is this, when you give yourself that label, like, check with yourself. Like, how do you describe yourself? What are the 3 words you use to describe yourself? If it's something like, I'm a bit of an idiot, like, I'm OCD, I'm always late, like, those are very empowering labels, and there's so much more to you.
Yeah. And so you got to pause and you got to reconstruct those to something more empowering. Early in our marriage, Julie was going through a rough time. This was not so early in our marriage.
My whole life was going through rough time. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, she was going through a really rough time, kind of in her head all the time. And I got into the habit of thinking.
I can't get out of my head, guys.
I got into the habit of thinking, oh my gosh, she is so selfish, right? I was putting a label on her, but I had to catch myself, guys, because that was affecting my reality. Every time I thought that about my wife, it changed how I experienced my marriage. And I had to catch that really quick and be like, whoa, step back. Is that what I really want to think about my wife?
How did you undo that thought?
Well, I just changed the label. I had to catch myself intentionally every time I had that thought of she's so selfish and find evidences against it. Because really, in all these other aspects of her life, she wasn't so selfish. You know, she's taking care of our kids. She's taking care of me. She's taking care of our home. She's crafting this life for us. She's doing all these things. And the other thing that I had to realize is that it wasn't permanent, that this was not like a who she is type of thing.
Yeah.
It was more like right now.
That I wasn't
she's
spiraling on my
really-
problems 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like an absolute.
But right now, in this moment, in this week, in this month or whatever, she's going through something really difficult. And however difficult it might be for me, it's like 10 times worse what she's going through in her head. And so being able to take a step back and realize that and see maybe what was going on in your mind a little bit more helped me to kind of deconstruct that and have a little more empathy, a little more sympathy, a little more connection, a little more love. It helped me show up much better. When I'm thinking she's so selfish, am I going to show up well? No, I'm actually probably going to be more selfish myself. But if I think she's going through a really hard time and I really love her and she's such a strong woman.
I feel like you're mirroring. If I'm
Yeah,
sitting there
yeah.
in my head spiraling on my problems, and then you're like, oh my gosh, my wife is so selfish. Like, you're spiraling in your head thinking about your problem, which was your wife.
Right.
So
So
you're
I
just
end up being
mirroring
super
me.
selfish. You end up mirroring. So that's why you want to break. If you're calling your spouse something, you got to break that because you'll mirror it. You don't want that in your life. You don't want that in mine.
And guys, the truth is, we have so many different parts. Like you are so many different working parts, and see all of that. Value all of that in your spouse. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the inspirational. Like, it's all there. And that's something that's so beautiful about marriage is you get a chance. You are the only person that gets to see all of that, all of it, because it's so easy to go out into society and be polite. You don't have to live with these people. You don't share a bank account. You don't share little children. Like, you're not sleeping in the same bed with them. Like, it's so easy to paste on a smile even on a hard day and say, oh, how's your day? Oh, it's fine, thank you. Like this fake little smile that we sometimes do. But you can't be that way. You can't be fake like that all the time. Your spouse sees all of you.
We were just laughing about this, how sometimes in your marriage, you'll go to work, you'll show up very empowered, or you'll go and be around other people. You can put a smile on your face, you can connect, you feel really good. Then you get home and it's like, oh, it must be a problem with you because around other people, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
but
you
guys,
really
I
have
just
to
want
show
point
up
out
in
how
your home.
sacred that is. You get a front row seat to your spouse's entire life.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
not
beautiful.
everybody gets that seat. I hope you hold that as a privilege to get that seat. I know it's not always easy. It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah. You got to love them on their good days and on their bad.
So Jared just shared a story about when he had a label for me. Okay, an unattractive, very unattractive label.
Yeah. I didn't tell you that story before.
Very untrue label. Just kidding.
Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
But I want to share a story about identity because, again, the number one thing that affects your relationship with your spouse is your relationship with yourself. If you're not sure where to begin on your marriage journey of how do I improve my marriage, I feel like there's something missing. There's something that can be better. Look at the relationship with yourself first because it's what you have the most control over. And I did this in our marriage. JR talked about how I was in my head a lot. Well, I was struggling hardcore with an eating disorder when we got married. And I hadn't let people into that part of my life. And now I'm married. I can't hide it. So it was really intimidating and raw. It was a difficult thing to let him in on that part of my life that I was still struggling with. So when I was 14, I developed an eating disorder called anorexia nervosa, where I really started to restrict the foods that I ate and kind of had some OCD even about what foods I would allow myself to eat and how many calories I would eat a day. And it was like this game. And pretty soon it came to a point I couldn't stop thinking about calories. I was constantly calculating in my head. I felt like a slave to it. And I went around with this label because of these behaviors. Over time, I started to label myself as anorexic. It's like, I am anorexic. That's who I am. It was now this little part of my identity that I felt like a slave to. And again, our brains want to be right. Even if it's not an empowering story, we want predictability. We want security. We know what's going on. We understand the situation. And so as I labeling myself as anorexic, I start showing up that way even more. I can't stop thinking about it. And I have to hide it too. So I'm in shame now too. And when we finally got married, I really wanted to work on this more because now, again, I wanted to show up as a better wife. But the thing that helps the most, the first thing I did is I realized one day, and I really think it was just a gift from God, this realization, this aha moment of, you are not anorexic. That is not who you are. You sometimes struggle with an eating disorder. And it just loosened it up. It detached that label from me just a little bit. It's not who I was. I didn't have to prove myself right that this is who I am. It was just something I struggled with. So now it was me versus this thing, not me fighting myself. just a step back. And then the second thing I started to do was like, I struggle with an eating disorder. It was like, okay, no, I don't always struggle with this. Actually, there are times where I can sit down and eat a meal just fine. Or there are moments in my day where I'm not constantly thinking about food and how much I weigh and all of that crap. And so then it changed from I struggle with an eating disorder to sometimes I struggle with disordered eating. Sometimes with disordered eating. And then I was like, yeah, and who doesn't? Who doesn't have something weird about food sometimes? Like sometimes people eat too much food. Sometimes they don't eat enough food. Sometimes they don't even get the right nutrients. Like food's kind of a funny thing, right? And I was just picking it apart, detaching myself further from this identity, this label that was harming me. And over time, my brain responded to that story because what you focus on, you magnify. And so I focused less and less on my eating disorder. It gave me my brain some breathing room, and I could focus on other parts of me and start to grow these other beautiful parts of me. And slowly it just shrank into the background. And it's something I just don't even struggle with today.
So I want to break apart what you went through right there, because I got to witness it firsthand, guys. And that was the beautiful part of our marriage, is going through that struggle together. There were parts of that that were really tough on me because I didn't know what was going on, right? Parts where she had to learn to let me in. And there were parts where I got to watch as she went through this beautiful transformation. And it's crazy to have something that's that pervasive, that goes from like feeling so personal, so pervasive, to just being gone. With labels are so powerful because they have what we call the 3 Ps, right? The first one is they're very personal, right? That's why you want to be intentional about them. They're very personal. I'm anorexic. That's like so personal about me, right? That's my identity. The second one is they're permanent. They feel like they're with you. They're going to be with you forever, right?
Yeah.
But
and you start to act in a way to keep the label, right? And that's the biggest thing with labeling yourself is now I have to show up in this way to make my brain right.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The reality is that your brain is neuroplastic. The reality is that it can change itself all the time. The reality is that what you believe and who you are today is different than who you are tomorrow as you choose new thoughts and new words. So it's personal, it's permanent. And the last one, it's pervasive, meaning that it kind of affects all aspects of your life. Now, Julie, what she went through, Jules, she broke down the words from I am anorexic to she broke down the permanence. Like sometimes I struggle with this. She broke down the personal aspect where it's not so personal anymore. I have disordered eating. I'm not anorexic. I have disordered eating. And then sometimes I have it. And then all of a sudden she was able to break down the pervasiveness. And through that all, that is the natural process that you go through as you're becoming a new being, as you're changing your identity. It's semantics, it's words, but notice where you're at. Notice the words that you're using that feel so true today. And take those 3 Ps, personal, permanent, pervasive, and break them down. It's not personal. It's not even permanent. It's a sometimes thing. And it's not pervasive. It only happens circumstantially. In these certain circumstances, I'm doing these things.
So I want to leave you guys with just a little bit of an exercise, okay? Because we can sit and talk about this stuff all the day.
Yeah.
We're here. We love this.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it all day. But if you want it to change your life, if you want to have an amazing marriage, an amazing life, use these tools. So do it right now. Ask yourself, how do I label myself? Is this a disempowering label? Write those down. And then ask yourself, where am I wrong? When is this not true? It is not true 100% of the time. Okay. Who do you want to be? What labels do you want? You can create those for yourself. How do you want to view your spouse? How do you want to experience them? Start to see them as that person now. You will start to experience them that way more and more because, again, what you focus on is what you magnify. All right, it's comment time.
Woo!
People are speaking. We're listening. We're here for you.
We got them. We wrote them down and everything. Hey, if you've got comments, put them down now. If you love something in the discussion a little while ago, put it down. We want to hear about it.
We're confusing the heck out of you.
Yeah.
Ask us questions.
You're like,
Someone else is probably confused
What
too.
was Jules even saying? Like, I don't know. Put down some question marks in the comments.
So we wanted to thank Sancho, Helen, Johnny, Lupe, Cheyenne, Callie, Emmeline, Sarah, Lane Marketing, Connor, Courtney, and Brittany. Thank you for your comments.
Big long
Giving
list.
you a shout
We
out.
love 'em.
Okay, so some of our comments. This one, for me personally, I sometimes worry that me sharing that I'm overwhelmed at home with household chores will put more stress on my sweetheart when he's been at work all day. Okay, so in this situation, you have a wife, she's really stressed about the household chores. She doesn't want to have to ask for help, right? Because she's worried about her husband who is working hard. Like, I'm so glad you recognize your husband's out there working too. It's not a me versus you, right? It's you guys versus the house. Okay, if the house is a problem, if there's too much to do, first of all, don't approach the situation when you're in a state of overwhelm, because
it comes off.
It comes off different. Your body language, your tone of voice is different when you're overwhelmed. And there is a feeling of attack, even if you're not meaning to attack, there's a feeling of an attack. But when you're in a calmer state, it's like, oh, honey, there's just so much to do around the house. Like, what should we do about it?
Something that Jules does super well, that just over the past couple of years, I've noticed her get better and better at this, is sharing that stuff with me early. Sharing that stuff when she starts to feel a little overwhelmed, she'll open up, she'll just get it out there. She'll be like, I'm not going to hide this. I'm not going to like internalize it. I'm just going to get it off my chest. And she does it early in a way that it doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel like an attack. It just does feel like she's actually sharing something with me.
What we do is we spiral on the problem. Like, my house is so dirty. Like, there's too much to do. Just come up with a solution. Okay. Like, come together in a state of calm, maybe go on a fun date night, get some ice cream. It's like, okay, we have a lot of responsibilities. This season of life is so hectic. What should we do about it? What's the game plan? Okay. And sometimes that's lowering our expectations of what needs to be done. Sometimes it's outsourcing some help. Sometimes it's paying the kids to step up more. Sometimes it's like, husband, you take over dish duty. Like, but if there's that expectation set up, then it's not adding stress to people. It's solving the problem together.
All right. Last comment. I couldn't imagine having a husband who thinks that he's off the hook because he's the provider. Providing financially is important, but it's not a free pass to check out on raising your kids. You should be able to leave the house for a few hours without coming home to a disaster zone. Okay, I want Jules to respond to this one, because I feel like this is so common. You see this all over the internet, is like, husbands should. Bum, bum, bum.
Now, I'm going to divide this into two categories. Maybe you do have a partner who really is just like, no, this is, when I'm at home, I'm not lifting a finger. Okay, let's go to some counseling, because that is not a healthy attitude, right? But the second part, which I think most of us fall into this bucket, I think most husbands do want to help raise their kids. Okay? You're saying like he's tapping out of raising the kids. Like, really? He's not like helping with bedtime. He's not talking to them. He's not driving them to places like ever. Because that's really extreme. I don't think most husbands fall into that bucket. But where women get upset is when the dad doesn't parent their way. Exactly. Why? When you leave the home, if your husband feels the need to call you to ask you questions, most of the time is because in the past, he's had to face your anger when he's gotten home. Like, well, what did the kids eat?
Yeah, he's gotten in trouble. He's gotten his hand slapped a little bit.
They didn't eat any protein today. Like, how dare you, right? Because he's not raising the kids the way you would. It's a control issue. Now, women, we've got to give our husbands permission to parent as the dad, not as the mom. Kids need a dad and a mom. They're different. Don't expect the dad to become mom. If he's giving you that time, if you're leaving the house, like, yes, of course you have permission to leave the house and he can be home with the kids. Like, that's a realistic expectation. But to expect them to parent and run the household the way that you do, like disaster zone, like, what are we talking about? Like, the entire house is trashed, or it's just not up to the level of cleanliness that you like to maintain. We have to have that realistic expectation.
Now, your home is like your castle, and you are like queen of that castle, right? You know everything. You own it. Imagine if it was flipped and you had to go do your husband's job. Sometimes we'll be on a car drive and I'll have Jules text something. And it's interesting to see those emotions come up inside of me when she says something in a way that I probably wouldn't in a text. When it's like, oh my gosh, that's not the way I would do it. Like, you shouldn't be doing that, right? Because that's my kingdom.
He doesn't like my heart emojis.
Actually, I wish. Of course, you've got a way and a picture of how things should look. That's your kingdom. That's where you are. That's what you own. All right, guys, leave a comment below. We love you guys so much.
Go love.
Okay, we're going to want to wait for that sip, though, so you get credit.
I'll backwash.
We should make some silly faces right now, just for the thumbnail, just like. Now, give me one of these. Just point at me like you're labeling me.